let's just jump right in with an idea that might feel a little unsettling. The world that you're experiencing right this very second, it isn't the real world. Not really. It's a heavily edited version. And your brain? It's the director making all the cuts before you even see the final movie.
So you gotta ask, right? If what you're seeing and hearing and feeling is just the highlight reel, is any of it actually real? Let's get into this because the answer is so much weirder and more fascinating than you might think.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Your brain isn't some passive camera just recording everything. Oh no, it's way more like a movie director piecing together a story. It grabs bits of information, cuts out all the boring parts, adds a few special effects, and then presents this final cut to you as reality. And its #1 goal isn't accuracy, it's just keeping you alive.
All right, so how does this whole production get started? Well, the very first step is to throw most of the raw footage right on the cutting room floor. Your brain has to filter out an absolutely unbelievable amount of noise just to let you function.
There's a name for this process. It's called sensory gating. You can think of it like a bouncer at the club door of your consciousness. You've got millions of bits of data from your eyes, your ears, your skin, all trying to get in. But this gatekeeper, it only lets a tiny, tiny fraction of them through. If it didn't, the world would just be a constant, overwhelming sensory explosion.
And you know what? Your brain is doing it right now. I mean, think about it. Before I just said this, were you actually feeling the pressure of your clothes or the feeling of your feet on the ground? Probably not. Your brain just decided, not important, and filtered it out. Oh, and yeah, your nose, it's literally always in your field of view. Your brain just completely edits it out of the picture for you.
But wait, there's more. On top of that passive filtering, there's a much more active one. This is attentional filtering. Think of it like a spotlight. Your brain isn't just ignoring stuff, it's actively choosing what to shine a light on. And if something isn't in that spotlight, well, for you, it might as well not even exist.
You've probably heard of the invisible gorilla experiment, right? It's the perfect example of this. People were told to count how many times a basketball was passed. They were so focused, their attentional spotlight was so tight on that ball that about half of them completely missed a person in a full-on gorilla suit walking right through the middle of the scene. The gorilla was right there, but their brains just went, nope, not relevant, and edited it right out.
Okay, so we've established that the brain throws a ton of stuff out, but that's only half the picture. The really wild part is what your brain actively invents and adds to the story to make it all make sense. We usually think our eyes and ears send info to the brain, and then the brain figures it out. But this incredible theory called predictive coding says we've got it completely backwards. It suggests your brain is constantly making predictions, its best guess, about what's out there. And what you perceive, that is the prediction. The actual data from your senses just comes in to correct any mistakes. So in a way, your reality is basically a controlled hallucination.
And you know this feeling? Ever been in a noisy room and you could have sworn you heard someone call your name? That was your brain expecting to hear it and just filling in the blank. Or what about when you catch a flicker of movement in your peripheral vision, you turn, and there's nothing there? Yep, that's your brain, again, predicting something should be there and literally creating it for you for a split second.
And what's the secret ingredient for this prediction machine? Memory. When you walk into a room you know really well, like your own living room, you don't actually see every single detail again. Your brain just pulls up a memory file, a template of that room, and assumes everything is where it's supposed to be. It's super efficient, but it's also why you might not notice when a friend gets a new haircut or moves a picture on the wall.
Okay, so we filtered out the noise, we filled in the blanks. Now it's time for the final stage of production, post-production. This is where the brain stitches everything together into that smooth, seamless movie that you call your life.
All right, so take a look at this number, 10%. What in the world could that possibly represent in your day-to-day life? Any guesses?
Well, that is the amount of time in your waking life that you are functionally blind. I'm totally serious. Your eyes are constantly making these super fast little jumps called saccades. If you actually saw the visual information during those movements, the world would look like a shaky, blurry mess. So what does your brain do? It just cleverly turns your vision off for those milliseconds and then seamlessly splices the film back together. You are literally blind for huge chunks of your day and you never ever notice.
Your brain is also like a master sound engineer, blending all your senses together. What you see can actually change what you hear. This is called multisensory integration. See, your brain absolutely hates when things don't add up. So if your eyes are telling it one thing and your ears are telling it another, it's going to step in, negotiate a compromise, and give you one single unified story.
I mean, that just says it all, doesn't it? Your experience isn't raw data. It's the result of a constant behind-the-scenes negotiation with your brain as the final arbitrator.
Now, it's really easy to hear all this and think, wow, my brain is flawed. It's lying to me. But here's the twist. The exact opposite is true. All this filtering and predicting and editing, it's not a bug in your system. It is the single most important feature.
Let's just look at this breakdown. The world throws these huge challenges at us. Sensory overload? No problem. The brain filters it and you get a focused reality. Incomplete data? It just predicts and uses memory, giving you a coherent story. Processing delays? It smooths and blends, and suddenly your experience is seamless. Every single one of these lies is actually an incredibly elegant solution to a massive problem.
At the end of the day, this whole system is just a masterpiece of evolution. Your brain made a trade-off. It sacrificed perfect, crystal clear, one-to-one accuracy for something way more useful. Speed, efficiency, and the ability to navigate a super complex world without getting totally paralyzed by every little piece of information.
And that brings us to this final, really powerful idea. The world you perceive is like a custom-built user interface, designed by your brain specifically for you. It's not the actual territory out there, but it is the perfect map that you need to survive in it. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. If the reality you live in every day is just a helpful story your brain is telling you, what does that change about how you see the world and maybe even how you see yourself?